and welcome to the Pet Squirrel Speaks. Today is Friday, November 14th. I'm Amy Beth, also known as the Pet Squirrel on Ravelry and the FatSQRRL on Instagram. My pronouns are she, her, they, them. Thanks for coming over. What a delight you are in lo these times. I love all of your faces. What's going on? So this week we're going to have a shop update. Gus is going to growl at any human within a mile of our house, which is really problematic because we live within the beltway of Indianapolis. Yeah, I know. How dare they exist? How dare they? Do you need comfort about their existence? No, he just wants the higher vantage point with which we're on the second floor, Gus. You're not going to be able to see them. They're probably on the sidewalk. How dare they? Do you see this? Do you see this? Okay, so I was about to say, today's episode is going to contain a shop update. It's going to contain a little bit of cross stitch, a little bit of knitting, and a little bit of nonfiction. So the tree outside my window still has leaves on it, although the ginkgos have all rained. We have the ginkgo carpet. And they did just sort of like unexpectedly rain. Usually our ginkgos sort of like hold on until almost the end of, I guess they did hold on to almost the end, but it feels like even other trees are mostly like have lost their leaves when our ginkgos do, but this year they seem to have lost them earlier. To the point the other day, Gus and I went for a walk and I was all like, oh, because along the sort of like walking path to the park, they're just ginkgo after ginkgo after ginkgo. There's probably about 10 very mature ginkgos, and so the ground is just completely covered with gold. It's so beautiful. But I did miss the rain this year. What else? Oh, we had our first snow. It was kind of, it was kind of unexpected because I didn't think we were supposed to get very much, and we didn't, but we got enough that it actually stuck to the ground, and we had actually snow even the next day, which is fairly unusual this time of year for us. It's not like out of there are lots of times we've had crossover between autumn foliage and snow on the ground, but for some reason this year, I think it was because we had more leaves on the trees we had more leaves on the trees when this snow stuck than other times. And so it just sort of like was more striking. I was driving to the library and I was like, oh, because there's a street it's the street parallel to the ginkgo street. Has lots and lots of mature trees on it. And you have to go quite slow on the road because it's got a big curve in it and it's residential and everything. But it's a good moment to just like have oh, that's lovely kind of vibes. So yeah, I did, in an attempt to save her fall, I've been trying to remember to take more walks. So I took a walk in Crown Hill Cemetery. I'm pointing like you know where. It's north of us. It's that way. Which is, I think I looked it up, that I believe it's the fourth largest, like non, is it federal or non, like Arlington, for example, is not in this categorization. But I think it's number 4 on like the size of cemeteries. And it has, for example, the path that goes like the most outward path around it, like the perimeter path, is I think 5 miles. So it's got a lot, and it's lots and lots of paths within it. And so it's beautiful to walk in because it's also, I think it's classified as an arboretum. If it's not, it has like the more unusual trees are either there's a plaque on them or there's a map of where they're located. And for example, they have like the Osage orange and the Kentucky coffee bean, I think, is another one. The trees that, for example, were sort of like when they evolved to have fruit that like mastodons could eat, you know, that kind of thing. So, where was I going with this, y'all? Oh, so it's really beautiful. They encourage people to walk because they don't have, they don't have like active, it's mostly historic burials. Now, I know there are sections for like specific, like Indiana. I'm not saying that there can't be current burials, but it's primarily just historic burials. So they encourage people to walk and to use it essentially as a park. And so the whole reason I started down this path with you was to laugh at myself because I was walking around and enjoying it so much that I actually bruised my two on my left foot, my big toe and my second toe. I'm a person whose second toe is longer than her big toe. I really racked them up from walking. When I started walking, I wasn't really paying attention because I wasn't like in a mindset of like, oh, I'm gonna go walk quite far. So my shoes were not snugged up and my foot was kind of like sliding around in them a little bit. I enjoyed myself. I got home and I was like, gosh, why are my toes so sore? That's so weird. And then the next day I was like, oh, I've injured myself by walking. It's like the injury that you get from waking up from a sleep. You're, oh, definitely over 45 now. Oh, and you want to hear another? So I don't know about you, but I often suffer from the mind whirlpool, the just like it's a raging river. She can't be stopped. She's broken through the dam. Like just if you throw a branch in her, it's gonna just get swept downstream forever. Like that kind of brain. I frequently suffer from that. I mean, she's always at least like category 3 rapids, right? But she's been at, I don't know how the rapids categories work. Category 1's the worst, right? Maybe it's the other way around. I don't know. I'm not gonna look it up. You know how much I want to look it up, right? Okay, but you don't need to tell me. I'll look it up as soon as I'm done, probably. Or hopefully I'll just forget. But anyway, normally she's the rapids, you know, that some people can pass. And then now she's like the river wild. The rapids they're impassable. They're terrifying. They make a lot of noise. There's lots of spray and foam. So I've been having really intense that brain for like 2 or 3 weeks now. It's been a challenge. It's not my favorite time. And there are certain things that I try to do to get myself out of it, but I think I'm pulling through. Like I think I'm pulling out of it. But I started to tell you that because I have to tell you a silly thing that I did when my brain was in this modality. So a friend, she has just started a new job. Well, fairly recently has started a new job. And it's sort of like even, I mean, it's in her like area of training, but it's sort of like a different channel than she has been in historically. So there's lots of change and I know that she's been dealing with a lot of change. And so she asked if we could do coffee and she asked if I could bring, well, she offered that if I brought coffee to her house, we could just hang out there for a couple hours and talk. And I was like, that sounds great. You know, that'll sort of put like a cap on the time because I had lots of other stuff I was working on and needing and going. I had lots of other stuff I was working on. I was like, that sounds perfect. It'll be easy for you, you know, because you're the person in life who has to commute and do with the outside world things. So I'm happy to go let you be in your inside world when you're able to. So I said, you know, I'll stop and get a coffee, you know, give me your order. I'll stop and get coffee on the way and I'll see you. So I went to get coffee. The place I was originally going to go didn't have the thing that I sort of like had my brain sort of set on, and so I needed to go to a different one. And then so I got the coffees. Well, on the way to the second one, there was like a wreck in front of the coffee place. It wasn't like a bad wreck, it was a fender bender because it was getting closer to rush hour and there was like just more congestion, more traffic in general. And so like that was sort of like, I was like, oh gosh, am I going to be able to get in there? Like, I mean, it was clear that everybody was fine, but it was more just like, And then of course you're like, well, there's already been one fender bender here. And the last time I was hit in my car was because there was a fender bender that somebody was like rubbernecking and she wasn't paying attention to me, the car in front of her. She was looking over here and she actually totaled my car. I was fine. But so like I get a little bit like in general. So I'm like, okay, I got the coffees. I, touched her name in my contacts, driving. I've never gone this way. And I'm like, okay. And so like, cause it's like a very like residentially place. So I'm like, I know that I'm not gonna like take a major road to get there. So I'm just like, I'm trusting you, GPS. I get there. I park and I'm like, that's weird. That's not her car. Did she get a new car? But I'm like, maybe I'm just sort of like unsettled because of the driving. And I'm like, just sort of in that space of just like, I get the drinks, I get out of my car, I walk up her like little drive. And she'd also told me like, oh, just park behind my car when you get there. Well, I couldn't park behind her car because if I would have been blocking the sidewalk. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird. But oh, okay. So then I'm like, I get out, I go up to the door and I'm like, wait, there's no Halloween things. Like she's a big Halloweener. She's a big Halloween decorator. I was like, did she already take everything down? That's weird. Is she feeling okay? And I knock on the door and I wait. And nobody answers. And then I realize that I am not at her house. She has in fact moved like a year ago. She's been in her new house for almost a year. No, more than a year. A little bit more than a year. And then when I realized that, I was like, so that I could not even think about how to get from where I was to her house. And I got like so confused. Now, let me just also tell you, because you don't know me in my non-podcasting life, I am a person who plans out the route to a place, often has like a backup in mind. I have a plan, right? Like I always have a plan. I don't know. I have a very good sense of direction. Very good. I do know what was happening. The rapids, they're out of control. Nobody can navigate them, not even me. I am the water in the rapids, and I still cannot navigate these rapids. What is going on? Watch out for the Undertow! Do you remember how terrified you were of Undertow? I never hear it anymore. I hear about the Riptide occasionally. I never hear about the Undertow. How was it such a large part of my childhood? Okay, sorry. So that was all just to say. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Thanks for being people in the world who I can trust to tell this story to. And yes, I know that you're in all likelihood laughing with me, but I do not feel like you're laughing at me. I mean, maybe one or two of you are. That's fine. Just don't tell me about it. Sometimes it's almost comforting when stuff like that happens because like so much is going on that's too much for my mind to handle. And I know I've heard other people express sort of like similar sentiments, right? Like there's so much going on and it's too much for any human brain to like even be able to hold. And so sometimes it's almost comforting when your brain just is like, just drops everything, because it makes you feel like, okay, I am not like the most desensitized, callous human in the world. Like, okay, like, yeah, this is definitely affecting me. And it's like, it's weirdly comforting. Does anybody else feel like that? I mean, yeah. Okay, I'm not gonna go any further. But okay. All right, sorry, let's not go down the road of what is wrong. Do you see myself fighting myself not to go on a rant? Much more intelligent people with much more perspective, much more training, they have got rants for you. Okay, I do not need to add to the noise, but just know that it is screaming. What was it? The Japanese roller coaster that was the scream in your heart. So anyway, thank you for coming over. I think when we're next to each other, we can hear the screaming in the heart a little easier. The screaming quietly in our hearts. Okay, so let's just go right into capitalism, and let's just push things out of our brain that are not capitalism. Okay. I have a shop update. November 15th, that's tomorrow, probably today if you're watching, or maybe 3 weeks ago, I don't know. It's November 15th. It's gonna be at 9 p.m. Eastern time. It's fatsquirrelfibers.com. This is going to be my like Christmassy, winter holiday-y update. I will also have an update on December 1st that will have some more exclusively like winter themed bags. So if there's a pine tree, if there is a conifer and it has lights on it, it will be in this update. But if there's a conifer with no lights on it, it'll probably be in the December 1st update. They were supposed to all be in this update. Just didn't happen. Okay. So I'll show you, okay, this one is gonna be first. So I have this, oh my gosh, right? This is the cotton linen canvas. It has an unbleached natural lining. These all have unbleached cotton linings, but like, oh, look at your woodland gift givers, right? Ermiger, look at the, oh, so cute. Wait, oh, so cute. Okay, so that one in sock, and now I have 2 prints, 4 bags that are cursey, like not safe for work. If the little pictures have big ears? Why is that a saying? Am I remember? Okay, sorry. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. I'll find it out. Don't tell me. If there are humans who you do not want to be exposed to curse words, yourself or others, skip ahead. Okay. Not safe for work bags. Now that implies something, I think, else. Cursey bags. Okay. So I have this print, which is just terribly cute, right? I'm gonna have it in the large wedge size and the sock size. And, right? Like, how cute is this little Santa with his cheeks? And he is definitely Mary's Fuke. Oh, so handsome. Did I say this is cotton linen? This is also the cotton linen canvas, both of them. And then I have, this one is a little saltier. So let me say, I do really enjoy the winter holidays. I am not salty about them. But I know Some people are. So this one's a little saltier, but it's a really cute print, right? Like, right, the poinsettias, the birds, so sweet, but that'd be fucking pretty, right? It's very cute. I like this, right? Such good colors. So sweet. So again, both on linen cotton canvas. I do these on the linen cotton canvas because the smaller type tends to sort of like not come through as crisply on the denim. So that's why this size, which I usually do in denim, is in the linen cotton canvas. Okay. So then in large wedges, I also have this like super sweet, right? I love a quilty star, y'all. I know. I just love a quilty star a lot. So I just can't resist. And look at this fun sort of like winter minty colorway. Isn't that cute? Love it. And then also like this sort of like Nordic, like, see him, look at this little Santa-esque fella on his skis. Little Nordic-esque wintertime. The tree does have a star on it. Right, there we go. But I think that's, well, and also the Santa's skiing. I guess that does allude to a holiday very subtly. But this one, oh, just to clarify, this one, I hope it's showing. This one is a very sort of like warm, dark green as the background. Okay, so then in sweater size, because there's just one snowy town is not enough. I have this guy. Right. I just, again, I love a house. Does everything have a house on it? No. Okay, not everything has a house on it. I love a house. I love walking a dog in a winter wonderland. Right. I love, again, this very fun, bright, but somehow yet Christmassy vibe. I love it. Sort of like the retro colorway. Punched up a little bit on this one. And then also in sweater size, I have these guys. Right? These buns. One of them is knitting. I would like to say that this one is drinking a little cuppa, but maybe they're both listening to an audiobook together and they're just like enjoying their cozy day. Right. So cute. So cute. And then in Aaron's sweaters, so the biggest gals, I have because you gotta have a cardinal. Like, it is a requirement of a wintertime goodness, right? And look, there's even this little gal, this little fella. So cute. And again, I just love this taupey, mushroomy, such a good warm neutral. Love it. And then last, more houses. I have this gal. Right. You even get some smoke out of the chimney. So cute. This one, I think you could definitely, yeah, this one does not have an ornamented tree. But I don't know, it felt a little bit closer. I don't know, maybe because of the star. But that could just be like, again, a quilty star on the barn. It's a quilty star on the barn. So that's, again, November 15th, 9 p.m. Eastern, fatsquirrelfibers.com. There are lots. I may have accidentally bought too much fabric. I may have accidentally bought too much fabric. That's all you need to know. rapid brains. It's not always, you know what? It's not great when there are not checks and balances in place. If in fact you are the sole runner of your business and there's not another voice out there to be like, hey, maybe that's not what we should be doing. It creates problems. Definitely does. Okay, so let's talk about cross stitch. Okay, so I have a cross stitch that I've already shown you, but I've actually like framed it or finished it. Let's see, where's my little card that tells me the information? Okay, so this stitchery is... Oh, that's the other thing. Okay, I will share this. Sorry, I made notes and then didn't reference them. I'm really good at that. The other thing I'll say... Never mind, I'll just save that for next time. And then I'll definitely forget. So the first thing we're going to show you is a finished cross stitch that I did. This is House on Pumpkin Hill. It's originally done as a pin keep by Stacy Nash. And I bought this backing kit from Just Crossing Stitches on Etsy. And what they do is they have standard sizes. They have different finials, different doodahs up here. I really liked this one. It felt very like colonial somehow, which I don't know why, but that's always a vibe I like. I don't know. Oh. What was I gonna say? Oh, so they have standard sizes available and they have several different tops. But you can also direct message them and request a custom size. And I don't think they actually charge you any extra for the custom size now that I say that. I don't think it's any extra. If it is, it's very minimal difference. So what was I gonna say? Oh, so they'll ask you for like the finished measurements of your stitchery, like the finished, what you want the finished measurements to be. So, you know, whether that's exactly, you know, from the edge of the stitch to the edge of the stitch, or you want like a 1/4 inch on each side or whatever. You give them the size of this square, basically, right? And then you can either get the backing fit to that size, or again, no charge, they will also send you this sort of like second backing that you can use and just use a fabric wrap on, or, you know, whatever you want to do. And so these are like, they're not, maybe they're considered mat board, but they're not like the real cloth like mat board, but they're sort of like that weight or consistency. Excuse me. So yeah, I really like this because, you know, in all likelihood, it'll sit on a shelf, right? Or something like that. So I don't actually need, sorry, it's sitting on powder. Oh, and they also painted for you. She asked me what color I wanted and I was like, oh, because originally I thought I would sand it and get some like aged patina-iness on it. It's not the right word, but I think you know the vibes. But I did a little sample on the back and I didn't really care for it. So I just went with the black matte. So yeah, it came even painted, right? I don't know how many colors they offer. I just asked, do you offer it matte black? And she said yes. What was I gonna say? But I like that, you know, if you're not gonna keep it up, you can just, I like a stitchery without glass on it. That's just personal preference, but I love a stitchery without glass on it. So that is good for me. I love that I can get a custom size and it's not going to cost me $8 gajillion. Love that. I can do it myself, so I don't have to like sacrifice it to some person who I'm sure is very talented and very skilled, but more of like it's not quite instant gratification because you order the doodah, but you know, it's in your hands at least. You're in control of its destiny. What else? So yeah, I did look at several different people, not specifically that were like mounting it to a backer board, but people who were doing, for example, the what would you call that? Like, you can use, what are they called? I don't know what they're called, but there's a thing you can do where you basically, it's this piece, and then you sort of like create the stand, and it's like the same shape, size. I don't know why these words are not, again, rapid brain. It's fine. So I looked at those tutorials. Now those tutorials almost all use some sort of batting underneath of the stitchery, and underneath the stitchery, and then underneath that other tent side. And so I did start off with that, but I did not like how it looked on, perhaps specifically on this board, because it just looked like it was like really like way too stuck out front. You know what I mean? Like it looked odd. It looked too puffy. It wasn't right. So there was much gnashing of teeth because I had been liberal with the use of adhesives. But I didn't wrestle it out of that situation. And I'm trying to think, I think I did use like a piece of fabric. That's what I did. The back one, I just used it on the board. But this one, I did put a piece of fabric underneath of the stitchery, mostly because just a piece of plain fabric, not batting or thick things. Mostly because this is, I think, 28 count linen, and it's of course this like sort of charcoal gray, and my backer board was white, and so it really did look like not right. You know what I mean? So that is what I did. I think it turned out pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with it. So again, that stitchery is House on Pumpkin Hill by Stacy Nash. And then the backer board is from Just Crossing Stitches on the Etsy's. Okay, so then in knitting, I thought I would update you on progress. I am knitting the Bracken vest, which is a pattern by Tin Can Knits. It is a cabled vest, worsted weight, button up, V-neck, sizes children's, so size newborn through 61.5 inches. I believe sizing table lists finished garment. Okay, so finished measurements 16.5 inches to 61.5 inches. I am using Harrisville Highland in the walnut colorway, and I talked to you last time about I am using the cone version of the yarn, and if you weren't with me then, briefly, it is the same as their skeined yarn after you wash it, pretty much. Oh, of course I stopped in the middle of a row because I've never done a podcast before. Dang it. That's okay. We persevere. So yes, here I have so far. Right? Doesn't it look so... Oh, y'all. I was going to say, doesn't it look so much like a hobbit's waistcoat? Y'all, I can't believe I didn't tell you about this. Sorry, I'm all verklempt. I just found out. Do you know how before we've talked about like hobbit LARPing and just life? Like I'm just gonna LARP a hobbit, like, but in my life, like I'm gonna go to the Walmarts with my market basket And I mean, I'm not going to go barefoot, but I'm going to have the vibes. You know what I mean? We've talked about it. If you're new, trust me, we have. Y'all, there is a giant Hobbit LARP, and it's a real thing. And I did not know about it. And apparently there's more than one. There is the one that I found out about. Okay, so let me just say. What? Yes. There is an officially sanctioned by the owners of the Tolkien stuff. I don't know who owns it anymore, but whatever. It's legitimately, like, it's, you know, I'm not saying it's legitimate, but it is sanctioned. The jury's out on the legitimate part, apparently. I found a YouTube about it. I'll try to remember to put the link in here. It was really interesting, actually. She does talk about, LARPing is live action role play, if you don't know. She went to this, it's called the Brandywine Village, I want to say. Something like that. And I follow her because she does lots of really interesting content about like the history of architectural elements in homes and the history of like how homes are laid out. She does lots of other stuff too, but I find that very interesting. So I had followed her and it just sort of like came up in my recommended. And she has this really interesting take on what it is like to be in that space and recognize sort of like seeing the typical American habits, ingrained stuff around money and sort of like exchange and receipt of, anyway, it's really interesting, her take on it. But also there's a Hobbit LARP. And when she first started talking about it, I was like, oh, this is going to be like in like Suffolk or something. Like, okay. If it is in the United States, it's definitely going to be in like California or Oregon or somewhere very far away. Y'all, it's in Kentucky. My neighbor to the south. What? Yes, it is. It's 5 days, 4 nights. And yeah, you get to go play hobbits with other people who are also playing hobbits. Now, I am a bit torn. I love deeply that this exists. I love it deeply. My first thought was, of course I am going. When do I buy tickets? Sign me up. I love to camp. I love Hobbit stuff. And then I'm made very uncomfortable by, I've never been around people. That's not true. I was around somebody who did LARPing in college. It makes me quite uncomfortable. I know I'm a total square. I've got issues. I'm in therapy. But reenactors, like historical reenactors, people in ye olde speak that are interacting with me, not as themselves, but as their character, make me wildly uncomfortable. So, like, this would probably be a hurdle to interacting solely with people who are not themselves. But I was even like, I can get over it. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, I think I could do it. But there have been I watched lots of other things. I tried to read as much as I could about it. And there do seem to be mixed reviews about like how it went for people. Of course, I don't know if I said that, but it was the first year, was in 2025. And there were quite a few problems. Now, a lot of people said, yes, there were problems. I still had an amazing experience. There were people who just like really felt like deeply affected by the experience. Again, people were like pulling out really interesting thoughts about consumerism and abundance and things like that. Like they were really pulling those interesting thoughts about it. But it has given me a bit of pause. But it exists. What? Should we go LARP as hobbits together? There's like, there's two different camping areas. One of them is sort of like the in-game camping where you're in like the big white, sort of like Civil War reenactor tents, like the big white canvas tents, and everything that you have visible in your tent needs to be appropriate to the Hobbit world. For example, you can't have like, I can't think of anything. You can't have your like battery operated light thing in your tent that people can see. But there's also a out of game, I don't know if that's the right verbiage, but there's an out of game area where you can you can camp in your like regular tent gear, and then you can just like participate in the LARPing as in, I don't know. I don't know the exact example, but I felt that was important to know that there were like two options. If you didn't want to rent the fancy tent, or like you did want to be able to just like get out of that space and be in your own space, that there's that option. Was I going somewhere with that? Oh, I think I was just talking about us Hobbit LARPing. Anyway, it exists, y'all, and that is comforting in low these times. Okay, so back to my waistcoat. I said all the things, right? Okay, and I was just showing it to you. Okay, right on. So yeah, I'm very pleased with how it's going so far. I am not working a ton on, sadly, a lot of my crafts. It's in fact why I did not podcast last week. I'm dealing with some carpal tunnel stuff. Boo. Related to my intense love of the stupid Hobbit game on Nintendo Switch, by the way. Also apparently related to menopause. Do you know that you're more likely to experience carpal tunnel or an exacerbation of carpal tunnel issues during like peri or postmenopause? Like what? Anyway. So boo, carpal tunnel. But so yes, that's why. But I have really enjoyed working on it. It is one cable row to every 4 rows. There's one cable row, 3 rest. Well, they're rest rows to me. There's a combination of knit and purls, but it's not. You're not actively cabling for 3 rows. The cables are very easy and intuitive. Yeah, just very enjoyable. I love Harrisville yarns. That's great. I'm just all around very pleased with it so far. And if my tunnels of carpal could just chill out. Also, let's face it, like this whole world is very fatiguing. And there have been several nights where I was just unable to function. I was like, just put something on the talking box. Hold the dog. Wait till bedtime. Okay, so that's all I have in crafting. And then I'll talk about, a nonfiction book that I finished. This one is called The New Age of Sexism: How AI and Emerging Technologies Are Reinventing Misogyny by Laura Bates. Okay, so the thing I usually do is read you the blurb, read you the jacket, so I'll do that. Misogyny is being hardwired into our future. Can we stop it? We like to believe we're moving closer to equality, riding the wave of technological progress into a brighter, fairer future. But beneath the glossy surface of innovation lies a chilling truth. New technologies are not just failing to solve age-old inequalities, they're deepening them. In the New Age of Sexism, acclaimed author and activist Laura Bates exposes how misogyny is being coded into the very fabric of our future, from the biases embedded in artificial intelligence to the alarming rise of sex robots and the toxic dynamics of the metaverse. Bates takes readers on a shocking journey into a world where technology is weaponized against women. This isn't a dystopian warning about what might happen. It's a harrowing account of what's happening now and the dangers we face if we don't act. With clarity and urgency, Bates reveals how these advancements are dragging society backwards, reinforcing harmful stereotypes, and jeopardizing decades of progress in the fight for gender equality. Eye-opening and empowering, the New Age of Sexism is a rallying cry for awareness and action in a world where the battle for equality has entered a dangerous new frontier. This is the first book I read by it. I did read this one with my eyeballs. I did see, though, that the author does narrate the audiobook, so that would be really interesting. But I do not think I could have listened to this on audiobook at all. It's like a horror book. I mean, it's not. Yes, it is. It is nonfiction horror. I'm trying to not talk about too much of the content because I do not want to. I don't know how to talk about it on a summary level. It is really hard for me to not talk about this book. I just want to talk about this book a lot, and I want to talk about it with multiple humans, and I think we all need to be talking about it, but this is not the place to make that happen. So this is probably going to be really choppy because it's going to, in all likelihood, be very heavily edited. So if I don't want to talk about why am I talking about it, I do think it's really important, and I do think we all should be talking about it. But the content is so far beyond the scope of this place that it's just not, I can't even try to begin to hold it enough to show it to you. How about that? Post-recording, pre-editing self here, and I have no idea how I'm going to edit all of the stuff I recorded about this book. Hopefully I'll just get rid of all of it. And maybe I'll just say this, that it is a very good reminder that these technologies, in this specific case, AI technologies, are being presented to us by people who have a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of themselves invested in these products. And I'm not even saying that it's a malicious, presentation, but the reality is that people who are creating these technologies, they're a group of people and they have a group of their experiences, and how they could not possibly be able to anticipate how everyone else individually is going to experience this technology, right? They're going in with what they have. And it's just really important to remember that it's being presented to us in this very glowing fashion about oh, well, I think, or, the developers think, or this group of people think that this is good because XYZ, right? And that, again, maybe not even malicious. That's just really what they believe. But the reality is that more than the group of developers are going to experience the product and are going to experience the outcome of the product. And it's just a very good reminder to step back from what is presented to us and try to think how it affects the most marginalized people in our society. And yeah, that's a perspective we should have all the time, right? But especially I think when something is so new to somebody like me, 47-year-old, not techie like not technological person, like, right? Like I thought I knew what was going on until I started a podcast, and then I was like, oh, I don't know anything that's going on technologically. You know what I mean? Like, because I just didn't know what I didn't know. But especially, you know, for those, it's so new to a lot of us, and it's presented with dazzling lights, and those lights are dazzling, right? They are meant to glow our little faces up and make us really excited about and interested in something that's so very new. And I'm not saying that AI is all bad. Like, I'm not, the author is definitely not saying that either. It's more of a like, okay, we don't have to move quite this fast and with quite this much callousness to the potential effects of these products. So that is not, again, it's not a sufficient summation of the book, but I do think that that's maybe a thing that I can hold and show and tell you about the book. Okay, back to whatever the heck is going to happen in the next part. I don't even know. Editing self, God bless. Like, what else do you say, right? Like, what else do you say? I don't know that I can say anything else. I'd like to just hold your hand for a minute about it and just, again, be present in each other's humanity. How willing we are to get rid of, to not even request guardrails, not even think that like a technology could have a guardrail, because some very wealthy person who has a lot of money on the line and is in a place to make a lot more money says that they can't possibly put guardrails on it because it's just like too big of a problem. And it's like, we've just accepted that for a really long time, and it like doesn't, it like not having those guardrails and then sort of like haphazardly like, oh, after the fact, like, okay, oh, we didn't know that was going to harm a bunch of people, like, oh, let's try to like sort of put something in place so maybe, you know, we do slightly less harm in the future. But like we're accepting of that as like all on the back end, like all of that is like our responsibility to potentially be deeply harmed. Like that's our responsibility to just accept that and like, well, sorry, a lot of people are gonna get hurt, but like we can't do this any other way. Wait, what? Really? What are our priorities exactly? Like, okay. So again, the thoughts are just like all over the place. Thank you for being with me if you're still here, and understanding that, yeah, that it's just too much to do this. But also, I'll do this because I do think it's really important. I do think it's really important. I guess that's enough for me to say. I don't have to know all the things to say. Again, that's The New Age of Sexism by Laura Bates. So yeah, that's all for this week. I feel like I need to like, you know, when you're like having a discussion about something that's really intense and that you're like feeling all like about, then, you know, that's sort of like a good way to close out the discussion is like, well, what are you looking forward to this week? I feel like that's what we need to do right now. It's like, what are you looking forward to this week? I have a new bean to try, and I'm pretty excited about that. I got a couple of new cookbooks that are focused on beans and pulses from the library. I'm excited about looking into those. I'm sort of going to be, I think, on my bean journey for a while. Maybe I'll move from bake of the week to like bean of the week. Not necessarily a different bean every week, but, you know, like a bean experience of the week. I do like how I've bookended the like intensely terrifying world of scary AI level stuff with like Hobbit LARPing and bean of the week. It wasn't intentional. But there we have it. Okay, I'm just gonna end this. Thank y'all for being lovely humans. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.